Rise of Iron, the third sizable expansion to Destiny, dropped. Rise of Iron plans to change up the formulaic style that the game has followed since the release of The Taken King. Fans of the series have been waiting over a year for content of this size, and during this time, Bungie has worked on bringing the next step for Guardians that want to become legend. With the introduction of a new story, weapons, armor, and a new raid, this expansion promises to enhance the experience for Guardians new and old. This time around, you find yourself scaling the side of a mountain at the request of a regular NPC of the game, Lord Shaxx. In this first mission, you reach the Iron Temple, a monument forged to honor the Iron Lords. After reaching the summit and battling against the Fallen faction, Lord Shaxx sends you out to the expansion's new explorable area, the Plaguelands. From there, you find yourself running missions for Shaxx and new NPCs Shiro and Tyra. As you travel around, you learn more about what these Iron Lords were fighting and the legacy that they left behind. For Destiny, storytelling has never been a main part of the game. In the past, Bungie relied on a system where players that wanted to learn more about the game had to go online and read about it after they picked up different in-game collectibles. So, for Rise of Iron, the game's formula has finally been mixed up. Now, a vast majority of the story is being told in-game, and the player can feel more attached to the game than previous years. The characters also bring life to the story, such as the despair in the voice of Lord Shaxx, and the seriousness in Shiro's voice as he addresses you throughout the story.
And remember, target anything that moves. Every kill gets us one less splicer or hive to be warped by Siva.
However, even though style of storytelling has changed, one cannot help but feel empty as the story seems to wrap itself up over the course of a few hours. For someone used to the mechanics of the game, it's easy to power through most of the story missions the first time around, and it's easy to find oneself at the end relatively quick. For new players, this story may not make sense right away, due to regular players already knowing some of the game's backstory. It was already mentioned how much the story has been expanded for the game, but it's worth reiterating just how much it enhances the PvE experience. You'll find yourself going up against the Fallen faction, but this time around, they enhance their own bodies with a virus called Siva. They use Siva to rebuild old weapons that were thought to have been destroyed, build their own weapons by ripping off body parts of other factions, and even rebuild and improve old bosses that players will remember from the beginning of the game. There is also a new raid that was added a few days after the expansion release that players should find more than challenging. You'll need a team of 6 to tackle this activity, and you'll all find yourself taking on the Fallen in their new lair. The raid will reward players who are able to communicate effectively with each other, while also testing their teamwork by keeping them moving the entire time. Here, the individual doesn't matter. You'll need to rely on your team in order to get to the final boss and achieve glory. At first glance, the game appears to be the same as it was in previous expansions, with the player choosing their loadout and shooting enemies. However, this time around, new items are introduced that change the way the game is played. These artifacts represent 8 different Iron Lords, and will reward you their respective abilities upon equipping them to your character. Some of these abilities enhance existing mechanics, such as being able to sprint right away without the normal cooldown from exhaustion, while others change mechanics, such as giving up your super ability in order to gain an additional melee charge and grenade charge, while also giving you a bonus to all stats. PvP players will find that these artifacts add a new level to facing off against other players, while PvE players will enjoy the bonus effects that these artifacts allow them to have. Destiny also brings back fan-favorite guns and armor, but with upgraded stats. Veteran players will find items that they used from previous years, such as the original cloak that they started the game with. Without spoiling the story, one quest will send Guardians back to where they got their first gun, the Gavostov, in order to complete a quest and obtain a new exotic weapon. It may feel like rehashed content, but veteran players will feel nostalgic, and new players will have a wide array of weapons and armor to choose from. For those looking for a more competitive game mode outside of the main story, the Crucible has new features that will appeal to the Guardian that is looking to hone their skills. The biggest change is a new game mode, Supremacy. Players will find themselves facing off against each other in 6v6 gameplay, while trying to pick up items that other players drop called Crest. For people who are familiar with shooters, they'll find this mode to be very similar to Kill Confirmed, where you try to gain points by picking up crests, while denying points by picking up the crest of your defeated teammates. Super abilities bring the Destiny-esque element that helps make this mode feel different from other games, and the faster gameplay allows you to finish games quicker than before and get rewarded more often. Private matches have also been added after 3 years, a feature many players in the game's community have been asking for. You're allowed to choose your own teams, what map you're going to play on, and set a time and score limit for the game. You can adjust little details such as the time of day, and enable or disable vehicles on larger maps. Just don't expect to ban certain guns or armor from the game unless you talk to everyone beforehand. This mode finally gives players a way to play against their friends and opens up the possibility for the creation of fun, fan-made game modes. In order to continue the story of Destiny, you will need to own the previous expansions, and then you'll have to spend an additional $30 for Rise of Iron. For people who are looking to play the game for the first time, Bungie has released Destiny, the Collection, including every expansion, even Rise of Iron, for $60. If you're a college student, a game like this may be right up your alley. It doesn't take long to finish the story, and you don't have to commit too much time in one sitting. However, if you're looking to get into the meat of the game, make sure you have a few friends to play with. As we said earlier, in order to play the raid activity, you'll need 5 other people in order to play it efficiently. If that sounds like you, you'll find yourself getting your money's worth out of Destiny's latest expansion.